and welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today I'm going to be showing you some projects that I made for Lisa Horton craft magazine. I'll link to the magazine below because it's really good value. It's £14.99 in the UK and you get all these things included in it. So you get this stencil, you get these dies, a really big stamp set, and it's got some really lovely fonts and things on it as well. And it's quite a nice set because it mixes florals and kind of Christmas as well. So you've got this embossing folder as well, and then you've got this paper pack. So I'll just give you a quick show of the paper pack. So they're all double-sided sheets, and you can see there's a mix of florals, backgrounds, patterns. Some of these leafy ones are really nice. I feel like it's quite a contemporary pack. It's really lovely colours and the designs are quite kind of striking. I'm going to create some boxes. So this one that I'm creating here is the smallest. So the base, I've got a 7x7 piece of Stampin' Up! Polished Pink cardstock. And I'm going to score it 2 inches on each side. And then while I've got my scoreboard out, I'm going to score the lid as well. So this one's 6 inches, and I'm just going to leave it a little bit away from this edge, just a small amount. And then I'm going to score that at 3/4 and 1.5 inches, and I'm going to do that on every side. So a little bit away, and 3/4 and 1.5. And then I'm going to take my base, I'm just going to fold along all the score lines. And then what I'm going to do in each of the corners, I'm going to cut about 1 centimetre away from one of the score lines, and I'm going to cut right up the other score line. So about 1 centimetre away, and then right up, and then about 1 centimetre away, and right up. About 1 centimetre away, and right up. And then I'm going to cut a little triangle just off the edge of each of the little flaps that we've made. Then I'm going to take my tape and I'm just going to tape along each of the flaps. And then on each of the corners I'm going to bend the flap to meet the next side to create the box. So there's my base, and then I'm going to take the lid that we scored and I'm just going to fold along all those score lines as well. And then in each of the corners I'm going to, so you can see I've got a score line here and this second score line along, so I'm going to cut it up to the second score line to get this big flap. Then I'm going to cut this piece off along this first score line, and then I'm going to cut this little square off here. So then I'm left with this flap, and I'm just going to cut a couple of triangles at the side. And these triangles that I'm cutting on everything just help it all go together better. So I'm going to do the same on each of the corners. So I'm cutting up this side, cutting the rectangle off the bottom, and cutting this little square off. And then I'm going to cut just the 2 little triangles there. And then I'm also just going to cut a little triangle off of each of these flaps. So I'm going to turn this over this way. I'm going to put some tape on each of the little flaps. And I'm going to put it right next to that score line. And then I'm just going to turn that flap in and put it up against the next side. And then I'm going to turn these pieces out. And just pop in some tape on each of these flaps. And if you've seen my boxes before, you'll see that I almost always make them with these reinforced lids. And part of the reason for that is because they're stronger, and part of the reason is because they look more professional. Because once you turn this in, you hide this flap and you get this kind of nice rounded edge instead of a raw edge. We've got a raw edge on the base, but that doesn't matter as much because it's going to be covered with the lid. I think it's nice to have the reinforced edge on the lid. And that fits on there. So then I've got cut some pieces to fit on it from paper from the pack. So each of these pieces is just slightly smaller than the area it's going on to. So this is 3 inches square. And then these pieces to go around the edge are 3 inches by about 5/8 of an inch. I like to use a wet glue to put these on because it just allows you a bit of wiggle room if you don't put it on in the exact right place first. And then these pieces that I'm going to put around the base measure about 1 7/8 inches by 2 7/8 inches, so just about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the area they're trying to cover. It just gives a nice little hint of that pink just around the outsides. And that can fit on the top. And then I've got 2 more that I've made that I've covered with different papers. This one, the base is 8 by 8 inches and the lid is 7 by 7 inches. This one, the base is 7.5 by 7.5 and the lid is 6.5 by 6.5 inches. That, when I'm talking about that, that's the cardstock when it's flat before you've scored it, and they all get scored at the same, so the bases all get scored at 2 inches on each side and the lids all get scored at 3/4 and 1.5 on each side. So I'm going to create a little stack of those, and I've got this really nice bright pink ribbon. So what I'm going to do to keep these in place is just put a little dimensional between them. So I think if you're giving these as a decoration, or you've already put your parcels in, it's a nice thing to do just to kind of keep them in place. And then I think the best way to keep it together is to just put some tape along the bottom. And then I'm just going to tape a bit across the top as well. So then I'm just going to pop some glue on the back of here because I want to cut out this Christmas tag, but I want it to be a bit sturdier than the paper. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of cardboard on the back of it. So then I'm just going to cut around that. And then I'm just going to tie a bow from some of this leftover ribbon. So then I'm going to just stick a few glue dots on the back of here. Obviously if you wanted to use it as a proper tag, then you can just poke a hole in the top and tie the ribbon through. But I just want it as a decoration. I'm not going to give it to anyone, so I'm just attaching it with some glue dots. And I'm going to pop the ribbon on with some glue dots as well. And then there's our little tower of presents. That's really cute. And I think that's a really nice decoration for Christmas as well. But it'd also be nice if you use them if you've got a few presents to give someone. It's nice for that as well. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's project. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking the like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I have new videos available. All of the products that I've used for today's notebook are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog which will have a supply list with pictures if that helps you to find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.